Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Welcome to Fit to Love, Movement Mondays, all about exercise, all about movement, all about you. If you have an exercise you'd like us to address on a future show, please make sure to send us an email, info@invisiblefitness.com. Enjoy the show. Today's show, rebuilding your joints with exercise. So the first question I need to answer is, can you rebuild your joints? Well, in terms of the medical field with surgeons and injections, I'm not really sure, but last I've heard it's not the best option and it doesn't always work and it might be painful and expensive. So what I want to show you and educate you on is how your joints work and how you can use exercise to eliminate pain, increase strength, increase mobility. While you might not get back your cartilage, you absolutely can change how your joints act and feel in exercise and when you're not exercising. So the first thing I'm going to show you again is your knee joint, because it's the easiest one to understand. Your knee comprises of your femur and your tibia, and I'll put the hip joint down. So we have pads of fleshy cartilage right here on the top of your tibia, and that's your meniscus. In fact, I'm going to tell you a quick little story after I show you this. So your meniscus are like your brake pads, and when this bone, the end of your femur, compresses plus translates, that's a motion that looks like this, on top of that with force over and over again. So in things like walking lunges, which we did in the beginning of this show, the top 3 worst exercises for your joints, I definitely invite you to go back and check that out. But this happens everywhere. Every single joint has what's called hyaline cartilage that coats it, and its connection to the bone that it's next to, plus some fluid, causes that cushion so that way you don't feel things in your joints. And as time goes on, just like if you were driving your car and wearing down your brakes or your tires, wear and tear sets in, and this cartilage starts to go away. And then what happens is you get closer to bone on bone, which I'm sure all of you have heard of if you're not experiencing. Now the thing about the cartilage is that it doesn't let you know that it has only 5% left. It just goes from being there to not being there. And all of a sudden, all the nerve endings and all of the muscle that's in between here can get pinched, which is when you start to have pain and irritation. And then you know now you don't have any cartilage. So when you're looking at, I have pain and I know that I've degenerated my joints, how do I make that better? And it's about adding exercise into the body specifically for rehabbing it. So let's say a few weeks ago, we did how to rehab a knee. And then the next week I did 5 basic exercises to help rehab the knee. You can create and find exercises, which I will help you do, for every single joint to strengthen all the connecting muscles, all the flexors, the extensors, the rotators, all of the connective muscles that hold that joint in place. And then when you take that and add mindful, connected, mind-body connection exercises, you start to then train your body to absorb force in your muscles instead of in your joints. When you lack muscular strength, everything you do is really hard on the joints. If you have muscles that can absorb the force, all of a sudden the muscles become the shock absorber for life and for your exercise, and we then protect the joints. Now there are other things you can do, like omega-3s and making sure you're hydrated, you're not dehydrated, taking vitamin D. There's plenty of other ways to help increase the fluid in the joint and to make sure that you have a cushion there. But when it comes to exercise, exercise is the best way to make sure that you have enough strength in your body, strengthen those muscles, because see, the bones don't move by themselves. Muscles move them. And as you get weaker and lack muscle strength, what do you think happens? That's why life gets harder. That's why doing things is so much harder, because you don't have the muscular strength anymore to do those activities. And so now you feel it in your joints even more, because the joints are banging against each other with all that force. So rebuilding your joints with exercise is the best way to prevent as well as heal anything that you might have. In fact, I have many clients that have had knee injuries. I've got one in particular, he was in his 70s, and he's someone I haven't seen in a while, but I've created a program for him. He was a regular client, and he had taken me to dinner recently, and he wanted to share with me something that he learned. So he had a little slight tear in his meniscus, which, like I told you, is here. And he went to the orthopedic and they did x-rays and he had a couple different opinions. And at the end of the day, the doctors and the physical therapists gave him the same exercises that I had him doing to build strength in the first place. And so he was very impressed that I know what I'm doing. And of course he knows that I have a certain education, and he said, of course I knew you were good, but this really confirmed to me that you knew what you were doing. And I was sitting there in shock, because what was most amazing to me was that the 70-year-old man, and he's actually older than 70 now, 70-year-old man who does 2-hour hikes on a regular basis, does legs, and did a very intense exercise program that I put together for him, has meniscus. He still has cartilage. Who at 70, who works out 5 days a week and does 2-hour hikes on a regular basis, still has their brake pads, still has good tires. So your exercise done well can support protecting and not further degenerating your joints.
The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.